Sometimes the only way through it.
YouTube, Facebook, and join right here, right now. It's thank you very much for this.
News on CCFm 107.5.
Breaking news here on CCFM's Breakfast with Friends this Thursday morning. In the headlines, Pontius Pilate announces that law and order will prevail over the next few days. This after disturbances caused by thousands of pilgrims arriving in Jerusalem, including the attempt to overturn the tables in the temple forecourt.
Authorities confirmed the arrest of the terrorist Barabbas.
And the Jerusalem Chamber of Commerce reminds businessmen that trading must cease earlier today and tomorrow to allow for the Passover preparation.
The Airbnb group announces no more accommodation is available in the newer Jerusalem suburbs. However, some street booths are available in Mea Shearim district and the olive groves at the main city gates.
In the meantime, our financial expert reminds viewers that prices will likely increase sharply over the next 2 days.
By midday Friday, we will switch over transmission for Passover.
Joining us now in this news bulletin, we say thank you very much to Mr. Nico Kleynhans. Can you please just unpack some of the events of the last few days, please, Nico?
I think it's important that when we look back on history, often we get to see just words on a sheet of paper. But this week, Facebook reminded me that that's not really what life is about. And he did so by giving me one photograph. And the photograph was of two young boys. One was Alu and Iviwe. Alu was 4 years old, Iviwe was 6 years old. And I got to know Iviwe because he was in kidney failure at Red Cross Hospital. And in his life, he had been rushed to hospital on 3 occasions within a 1-month period. And so Alu would wake up with the sirens outside their shack in Delft, picking up his brother and taking him to a hospital. And the mother, the 2 brothers, would then rush off to Red Cross Hospital and wonder whether Iviwe was going to survive. Sadly, Iviwe passed away. And 2 months later, Alu's mother passed away. And I remember looking at this photograph the other day, and Alu happened to be staying with us. He's now 12 years old, and he was discussing with me what it's going to be like for him when he's 15, because he's now grown, he's now realized he's becoming a young man, and he began to share his vision for life. And then I began to wonder what it would have been like if at the time of the first Passover, where Jesus was arrested, what the disciples were likely to feel like. And you see, can we even understand what they felt like when they've had what we call the Last Supper?
Yeah.
They're now in the Garden of Gethsemane. Judas comes along, and Jesus gets arrested. What was going through their minds at that time? How were they seeing the future of what they'd spent 3 years with Jesus doing? What was that future going to look like? What did they feel like when they realized he was going to be beaten? And they went to the spot, and I imagine 1 or 2 of them would have gone there and watched him being beaten and watched him being stripped of his robe. I wonder how Peter felt at the time when the slave woman came up to him and said, but you're part of the Galileans.
Yeah.
And he said, no, with the accent of the Galileans. And now he's only lying about his accent. He's also lying about knowing who Jesus Christ is. These were realities for those people at that time. And the point that I'm trying to make right now is sometimes when I stood next to Iviwe's coffin, my heart was broken. I could not even imagine what the next day was going to be like. When the mother passed away, I could not imagine what the next day was going to be like. I could not imagine how Alu was going to survive. And we need to remember that when we go through this commemoration of Easter, we're part of a long history where people faced impossible odds. And the lesson that we should be learning about this is that if we look at the reality of what is happening now, we can easily lose hope. Because we are then looking at now, and we're assuming that now is going to be tomorrow, and the day after, and the day after. And we forget that the peace that Jesus talks about is not the absence of problems. It is the presence of power while we face those problems. So the lesson that I would like us all to remember this and every Easter is that the reality of what we are facing now is temporary. But the promises that God makes, those will overcome what we're dealing with now. And that is what gives us hope as the people of God.
Absolutely beautiful. Thank you, Nico, Kleynhans, and God bless you. Thank you so much.